science, and prior to this, he has worked with Walmart Global on the information security side, and he also ran a small online marketplace for mental health courses. So, with that, over to you, Srinath.
Thanks a lot, Anush. Thanks a lot for the introduction, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to present my work in front of all these people. So basically, just before I get into things, just want to give you a heads up that I'm not coming in here as an expert in anything, and I'm just trying to share the kind of work that I'm doing just out of college, doing something interesting out of my passion. And I'm just here to share the kind of work that I'm doing, get some good feedback from all of you, and also try to understand how exactly I can you know uh, do whatever I'm doing right now better, right? So having said that, I'll just begin my presentation. So yes, my name is Srinath, and I am currently running this company called SparkTech AI. So under SparkTech AI, we have developed a product called AdGPT, which is something that I did in my final year of my studies. Actually, this is the product which I developed in my final year at Triple I Hyderabad, my fifth year. So I essentially did a 5-year program at Triple I Hyderabad, with both a BTech and an MS degree. And I worked under Professor Ramesh Loganathan at the Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship. So did some interesting work in NLP prior to that. So language technologies have been pretty close to my heart, and wanted to develop something on those lines when I actually got an idea from a very close friend of mine that why don't we start generating posters, right? So this particular person was working with multiple communities across the country, and developing or designing posters has been a big roadblock for in general communities, right? You need expert designers to get these posters done, which is even though Canva has like democratized it to a large extent, it is still to get a eye capturing poster up and ready. It's not an easy task. So this idea came to us, I think, 3 years back, 3.5 years back, when generative AI wasn't at the forefront. So back in the day, what we did was that we tried assembling a variational autoencoder, and we tried to solve the problem using a variational autoencoder. So I'm not sure how many of you are here from a technical background. So variational autoencoder essentially takes in data elements from the input data set, right? And then um, it kind of breaks it down into different types of elements, right? And creates a probabilistic a function. I mean, a probability distribution function. And out of this probability, the space essentially, elements are picked and then reassembled to make it look like uh, the 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 AI is actually generating something. So the idea is basically to make the input so large that it looks like it's being generated rather than being assembled, right? So that is the first approach that we took for AdGPT, and it did not work honestly. And it kind of went cold for a couple of years, and then that is when the entire generative AI boom had happened. So it was at that particular moment in time that we thought, why not do it? And then that is when basically one of my seniors, super seniors, as a matter of fact, an alum of Triple Hyderabad, Abhilash. I meet him, and he asked me, why not? If you're doing it for posters, why not do it on advertisements? So that was the idea behind AdGPT, and we started working on that with all the modern generative AI, engines available, and then finally AdGPT was born. I'll get into details on the technology aspect of things, but let me just introduce the problem that we're trying to solve, and what exactly and how exactly AdGPT stands out. So essentially, there's a very high cost for a high impact product photography, right? So AdGPT is essentially a tool which would give you a good quality product photography, which could be, eventually made into an advertisement for your digital marketing needs, right? So the traditional product photography market is, the techniques are essentially, very costly and time consuming, right? To click, a product photographer essentially is able to handle close to 5 to 6 clients a day, right? And the charges are extremely high, right? And on top of that, clicking the right kind of product is very essential for a lot of for a lot of um, products, right? And there is a lot of research that goes behind this entire product photography thing, because you can't put a, let's say you're clicking a picture for iPhone, right? You can't put an iPhone, right, a red color iPhone right next to an orange, right? You need to do the right kind of product research, understand what are the kind of elements that have worked previously for this particular product, what are the kind of elements that have previously worked for the competition's product. All those research is very super tiring and very difficult, hence making it difficult to scale this entire process of product photography. And in the entire process, creativity is also lost to a large extent because of the budget and the deadline constraints. So what makes this particular problem very important is that 75% of the customers have reported to be influenced by the product or the model photos, right? Which essentially means that you have the right kind of product photos, then you have a higher chance that the product is actually striking a chord with the audience who it's intended to go to, right? And the average cost of an established product photographer per day in the US is close to $2,000, which is quite a big amount, right? So there is a market which is ready for some sort of a revolution, and it's a traditional market bringing in and with the generative capabilities of artificial intelligence in today's world. It's very easy to step up. I mean, just walk in there and like create a revolution over there. So introducing AdGPT, it's an AI powered product photography tool. So what it does is essentially it creates, it generates high quality and very importantly context relevant product images with AI over the click of a button, right? It helps you, ideate better by avoiding something called creator's block, which almost everybody, irrespective of what industry they are in, anybody who's doing any sort of creative work tends to face at some point in their career, right? So it also helps you improve your return on ad spend, something that is very important, and I'll be speaking about real soon. And also unleash creativity with limitless customization. So at a glance, we currently have a web application put in place. So it's very it has a very friendly interface, which is pretty similar to what ChatGPT currently has. Right, all your previous interactions can be are recorded similar to how ChatGPT does, and then you can create up to 64 images in one shot, right? And then you can download accordingly. So right now we are in the process of converting this into a mobile application, primarily because we have identified small scale entrepreneurs as a very predominant target audience, and our insights after speaking with these kind of people have shown that they tend to make use of their mobile phones more often than actually getting into a web application and uploading a picture over there. So yes, we have been trying since the start to leverage the best of modern technology to create the best product for our customers. So, essentially speaking, the reason why we, you know, gel well with the modern technologies primarily because we have already tried using the traditional approaches, right? And traditional approaches have not worked pretty well for us because the images that we created were really messy. Creating the model by ourselves was a tedious process, right? So all the DALIs and GPT-4s of the world which have come in have actually contributed pretty much into completing this particular product. So initially, what we used to do, at a glance, when you talk about what AdGPT does, what it does is that it takes an image, right? You know, uh, let's say you're selling a headphone, right? You click a picture of the headphone in a neutral background with your mobile phone, and then you upload that particular image into AdGPT. So what AdGPT does is that it tries to understand what exactly is going on in the picture, what is the central object which is getting advertised over there, or which is being uh, projected or like cataloged over there, right? And then based on that, it tries to understand the context, and it gives context relevant background suggestions for the image. And then a quick stable diffusion process is there where the entire background is replaced into something that is suggested by this particular model, right? And So yes, previously Mini GPT-4 was what was being used primarily because it's free, it's open source, and on top of that, it GPT-4 wasn't available. GPT-4V wasn't available back then, and we had to. Setting the context of through images was not getting very easy with Google Vision APIs, which were the initial set of tools that we had used, right? Yeah, based on that, actually, the suggestions are given by GPT-4, and then Stable Diffusion used to create the images. So right now, we have combined GPT-4 and Mini GPT, the two steps that were involved over there into one particular step using GPT-4 Vision, right? So that is how the entire this tech stack has been evolving, actually, as far as we are concerned. So what happened is that once we got assembled this entire thing and then we started so we didn't even have a web application back then. So what we did was that we identified a process in which we can create these product images, and then we tried manually creating these images. So over a span of, I think, 1.5 months, we created close to 2,500 advertisement copies, right? So what we did was we went to the Facebook ad archives, and then we started downloading images, and then we started creating the variations of these images through AdGPT. And what we did was that we took the original advertisement, and then we also took a variation that was created by AdGPT, and we put it back into the Facebook Ad Manager, just to see what is happening and how exactly are people responding to it. So here are some of the results that I have, and I would like to share with all of you. So what we saw was that we did close to 35 advertisements, a very small scale budget, actually, just 500 rupees per advertisement. We pretty much put that across, and then what we saw was that there was a dip in the cost per click that was happening, right? And it was anywhere between 10 to 80%. What we saw on an average, close to 35% was a dip in the cost per click. So as you can see over here, the image on the top is basically the original image, and the image at the bottom is the generated one, right? And the cost per click for the original is 0.87, and it's falling to 0.78 over here. Over here again, 0.43 to 0.25. You'll see a significant fall of CPC over here as well, right? 0.9 is falling to 0.52, right? And it is not like it hasn't failed. It has definitely failed, but the margin of failure is really low to an extent that using of ChatGPT is not creating any trouble per se, right? 0.72 to 0.73 is not big of a jump, right? It's pretty much the same. And likewise, 0.889 is falling to 0.65 over here, 0.47 to 0.41, and so on and so forth. So I have like close to 10 advertisements over here, which we tried experimenting around with. So we try to understand what exactly is causing these particular, changes per se, right? I mean, there are these particular change in the cost per click. And what we found out very interestingly was it was mostly cognitive, right? And there are certain level of brightness levels, and like there's certain level of contrast levels which together contribute to better attention capturing possibilities, right? So as far as a person is concerned, when they scroll through, let's say, Instagram, if the person is able, if the person stops at a particular post for more than, I think, 1.2 seconds is the norm, right? That is when something, an impression is recorded, right? So the idea is basically to keep the attention for more than 1.2 seconds, so that people actually see what is going on in the image. And that is exactly what we have been able to crack through at GPT. And that is the that is essentially the value that we are adding to the customers who are trying out and using ad GPT. And that is exactly the return, the improvement in the return of your ad spend that I was talking about, right? So essentially, when you're saying that you can increase the product photo, so I mean, as far as the digital marketing industry is concerned, even an improvement of 10% in their ROAS is essentially considered as something huge. And we are saying that on an average, we are able to bring about close to 35% improvement in the ROAS, and which is essentially seen in a very positive light for a lot of people, right? And yes, that is the value that we are providing. So yes, momentum is building, and currently we have running campaigns with CIE, and yeah, we have closed two deals. One is with Nestle's Maggie, and the other one is Tattvamai News. It's a channel based out of Kerala, and the engagement's about to begin anytime this month or next month. We are in discussion, and most
The
of
the Aster is a lab brand or is it a generic brand? I mean,
Aster is the hospital.
hospital brand only, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So Aster Prime is who we are in discussion with. So you would have heard of Prime Hospital based in Hyderabad.
Right.
So I've been
So, I
taken.
mean, how are they using your tool? I mean, are they creating their brand images with your tool, or is it like the advertisement images, which are like creatives and all, they are creating with your tool?
So essentially, I mean, they are not currently using our tool. We are in talks with them, right? So,
Okay. Okay.
propose, yes, what we are proposing is essentially that we try doing some digital marketing efforts through our through the images that are generated by AdGPT, right? But the thing is that again, AdGPT's role over there tends to get a little shaky in the sense that most of them are communication, communication.
But tell me one thing. I mean, the source of images for your tool is also same as ChatGPT's. I mean, whatever the original source code images, or is it like you are feeding the images separately for this particular thing to work?
No, no, we haven't fine-tuned it yet. We are in talks, and we have. I mean, I don't know if you have heard about. I mean, I don't know if you are all from the Triple IT ecosystem, as a matter of fact. But there is one person from Triple IT. His name is Srinivas, who I've been constantly in touch with to understand how exactly we can fine-tune it for better this thing. But yes, according to his expert opinion, what he says is that right now we don't need to do that. Right? Eventually, but yes.
Okay. Okay.
Just ask me, you showed Maggie also.
Yes.
Is the Maggie case with Nestle or with his digital agency?
So Nestle definitely, but essentially they are handled by Group M. So Group M is like the
Yeah, yeah.
largest,
Hmm.
right?
Well,
So they're
hmm.
handled by Group M, and I am working with the partner organization of Group M.
Okay. Okay. Because but there are two issues which comes up. One is the brand
Uh-huh.
ethos, brand guidelines, and everything. Again, any ad.
Yes.
I'm from the ad industry and brand development part of it. That's why I'm asking you this question.
Okay.
Because,
Okay.
because on a simple level, yes, you guys are simply doing it, but there is a human science also which comes alive in creating that brand imagery, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I was interested in how much level you have gotten. And did Nestle agree to use generated images? Because that
And
again is
adding to the
another.
point of Nirmal, there is a
Mm,
possibility of misuse of brand colors or brand images. If at all I'm feeding the image colors
exactly.
to your system, and someone
Mhm.
else types my brand and starts creating duplicates with my brand colors,
Hmm.
I'll get into shoot issue, right? I mean, literally, I'm
It's
giving out my fonts and brand colors directly to your tool to build my images, but
Hmm.
your tool is also exposed to others who can just replicate my brand and still create a like Kinley bottles and Bisleri bottles being duplicated now in the market right now.
Hmm. Yes. So the
so
answer
that's the legal side of the actually the
Correct.
whole story. Mm.
yes.
So I would like to give some context because I know some people who have built generative AI at Meta, and what
Mm.
my understanding is, so this is for Meta ads because Meta
Mm.
ads also now has generative AI,
Mm.
and they launched a beta like almost a year back, and my
Mm.
understanding talking to the finance team there like through this friend is like it had the largest impact of any ad product throughout the entire Meta's all product initiatives. So it turns out that a lot of generative AI is already being used by big brands. Obviously, there are brand safety things that they have to worry about. But my understanding is Meta incorporates it. I don't know how Srinath incorporates it, but it seems to be working well for Meta.
Yes, so essentially, what I was saying that I mean, what your concerns essentially make sense, but the thing is that when we're deploying it into an organizational level, we will be deploying it or on a private scale for that organization alone. So the data that is
But then, who will be feeding the open images which it needs for creativeness?
I'm sorry.
See, in order to create an image, it needs certain library of images, right?
Yes.
So if it is in the open world, we will always get all different flavors of images from the open world, and then it creates an image which is creative for us, unique or creative for us. Whereas when I'm in house or when the tool is very much what you call barricaded, from the source of information, how will it create creative images?
So essentially speaking, these all these models that we're talking about, especially clip drop is essentially stable diffusion, right? So stable diffusion, there are pre-trained ways that are available, and those are the things that I'm using in order to the starting point essentially, right? So there is no fine tuning of the model that is being happening, which is going back into the public domain, right? Whatever information is being fed into the system stays into the system, and definitely GPT-4 is being integrated, which is a completely different story. But the thing is that the image elements are not being fed into GPT-4. Essentially, it's just an understanding of the initial picture that is being done by GPT-4 vision APIs, right? So what I'm yeah, so that is essentially, so when you're deploying it to into an organizational level, you're essentially deploying it in such a way that it stays private to them. It is not going, the whatever information is being fed into is not going back into the public domain.
Okay. Srinath, I've understood what you were trying to say at this point of time. One more key question in my mind is, according to you, what do you think the posters you shown and all, what do you think is the level of creativity which you have been able to achieve
Okay.
in a rating of scale, let's say 10?
All right. So let me tell you one very interesting thought process, which has been going on in my head while creating AdGPT, right? So the creativity aspect, it's, I mean, at least with the level of development of generative AI in today's context, we cannot remove the human element or the human factor out of this entire process, right? So when it comes to creativity, first of all, we don't even have a definition for this process called creativity, right? And getting removing humans completely from the picture is not something that even I want, right? So the thing is that if you take a look at Canva, there are generative AI plugins which
Correct.
are currently there in Canva as well,
Hmm.
right? But the thing is that in Canva is essentially a human-led generative AI supported platform. What
Correct.
my intention is basically to create a platform which is generative AI led and human assisted. So essentially bring down the do it yourself factor from maybe 80% into something like, let's say, 20% or 15%.
Okay.
But yes, human creativity is definitely going to stay, and going to be a driving factor, definitely.
So from a development or a technological tool, it's more will be what you were saying. It will be assisting us in the process of creativity. That's what.
Exactly. Assisting, it'll take the lead essentially. It'll take the
Okay.
lead, and you just have to tweak some changes here and there. But those tweaking of changes are important as far as I'm concerned. Even if it's Maggie, even if it's anybody else.
Okay. Understood.
Srinath, in parallel, one more project which I'm exposed to is similar, something similar. It was digital signage. So
Okay.
what happening over there is that ad was displayed and the whole unit was put on some client's place, and at that time what you said that 1.2 seconds, if more than 1.2 seconds, if somebody is there, somebody is watching that ad, that means they are interested. So we also did this eyeball calculation,
Mhm.
uh, that how much on a particular ad
Mhm.
somebody was giving the glare, and that data was captured.
Mhm.
Now, your product is definitely much advanced because they're already shooted ads one after another were going on. It's simple digital signage product, what we have normally in our malls or many other places. So
Mhm.
now, one part is that ad GPT is doing is that they are creating the ads in
Mhm.
a very economical cost. One part is that. Another part is that when you say that 1.2 seconds, if somebody is watching the ad, that means they are interested. Are you capturing that data and are you utilizing that data for in some way? Because we cannot know the demographics of the person who is actually watching that ad.
Yes.
Right. That is like against the personal rules and all those things. But so we cannot know the demographic of that person who is watching. The only thing which we know is that on a particular ad, how many people has given an attention for how many seconds or something like that. Are you
Yes.
capturing that data, or are you utilizing that part, that data in some way?
So the 1.2 second idea that I had mentioned earlier is basically something that is the mechanism that is utilized by Facebook in order to capture what are impressions versus what are like pushing an advertisement in front of a person is different from somebody watching it. So it is assumed that if somebody watches the advertisement for at least 1.2 seconds is when Facebook actually says that, okay, fine, there's an impression over there, right?
Mm.
Publicly, a public data. It's a very interesting thought, though. I mean, Neeraj, if you have any sort of, if you have worked on any such data, I would love to, have a discussion post this and understand what are the kind of, if there are anything that you can share with me, that would actually be pretty interesting because I would love to discuss more on this. But yes, from our side, we are not capturing that data, right? I mean, that is something that is visible to the person who's deploying the advertisements. If they want to do something of that sort, definitely. But to improve the accuracy of the model and to improve the value delivery of the model, I would love to know more about that. But capturing that data is not something that would ideally fall under what we wish to do.
Yes, because that is the another mode of which can create business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can discuss actually, because I personally worked on that and I only wrote that IBAR calculation Gotham for them. So definitely we can discuss maybe offline.
Discuss further on that. I mean, maybe we can discuss. I suppose that all of you are part of the group, right? That Anil just created.
You created in a day or two?
I mean, I think Anuj just created. I mean, everybody over here are part of the community that Anuj just created, right? So yeah, if you can like drop me a text, post this. I'd love to discuss further on this.
Yes, yes, definitely I can do.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, Srinath. This is Kushal from Destiny.
Hi, Kushal.
Yeah. So apart from this technicalities, the technicalities are a bit impressive. So I want to ask one this business question. Like this one competitor, I believe, Predis.ai.
Okay. Yes.
So how do
Yes.
you differ from Predis.ai? It's
Okay. So
almost similar. Like, we are just giving the prompt to the tool, it generates the images, and it's already connected to the social media platforms out there, and we are using it right now, and it provides even the API for us right now as well. So how
yes.
do you
Yes.
differ and create? How do you mention pitch your USP out there?
Yes, so Radios.ai is a very interesting topic for me because I've seen them because I was part of one of the panels to which they pitched actually for fundraising in their initial period in time. So I've been watching them very closely. So those people are taking the approach that I've been mentioning. I mean, I don't know if they're pivoted into generative AI right now, but they have been taking a VAE approach, which I had mentioned earlier, right? So they do a mixed match of elements rather than generation. Our direct competition would be Photo Room. If you take a look at Photo Room, you'll understand. If you try using Photo Room, you'll kind of understand what I'm eventually getting into. The only thing is that I'm adding a little extra value over there in the sense that I'm saying that I can bring down the cost per click. But other than that, Photo Room is doing pretty much what we're doing, and I see them as somebody who I can. They've done the homework for me, so enough for me to understand the market better through using their application.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you, Srinath.
Srinath, Vishwa here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Nishwa.
Okay. Here one question. Sorry for this question because I'm failed to understand what is the competitive advantage you have.
Mhm.
Then, for example, today Midjourney 6 and DALL-E 3 is there where I can do the same thing.
Okay, so this is a question that I've received quite. I mean, I've received it a lot, right? So the point is that for people who are very sound in terms of technology, it's very easy for them to use all these mid journeys and all things of the world, right? But when it comes to regular people who are, let's say, running a small scale business, right? Those are the kind of people who I'm looking at, like small scale entrepreneurs, right? So for them, understand keeping a track of the best technologies which are available, all those things do not make sense to them, right? I mean, So providing an engineering solution which makes use of all the existing technology, and then creating an engineering solution out of it is what I am doing for them, which would essentially mean that they just have to upload a picture, and the clickers is actually getting a good quality photo.
Okay, that means like you support technically with other than your tool, there is some technical support you will do with every creation. Is it like that?
Yes, it's pretty much like, if I want to draw a parallel, it would be like GPT-3 existed since a long time. When did GPT become successful is when they introduced ChatGPT, which is a more easy to use interface for people, right? So it's kind of
True.
like the same.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, in that way.
Yes.
Because like here the competitive advantage is like a little bit minimalistic, like anyone can do it with same thing, right? Because it is the main core is already available.
Yes. Yes. I mean, oh, you're talking about how to how
Competitive advantage. Yeah, my
comp
question is competitive advantage that you have because the core is already available
right.
and anyone can create the similar thing and start a product, right?
Yes. Okay, so essentially, what I have to say over there is that the competitive advantage that I have over the existing competition is like the ability to create attention capturing images through the cognitive factors that I've been talking about since some time now, right? And if you ask me, isn't it easy for another person to build a similar application and bring them into the market? Perhaps yes, but I think that is the case with almost every tech product that has come out of the entire generative AI blow up, right? So I'm not really worried about that. I would rather start with what I'm doing, and then evolve the product into something that would eventually become more difficult for people to catch up to.
Okay, great, thanks.
So yeah, I think great idea, Srinath. I had two questions. One was technical and one was business. So I'll ask the technical question first.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So you didn't really go into what you're doing under the hood, right? So I just want to, I just by looking at what you're doing, I'm making inferences and want to understand if that is right. So you are using stable diffusion control net to essentially modify the image,
Yes,
and then you're
yes,
using and it's some plugins of control net, right?
yes, 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 yes. No,
And then you're using GPT to essentially get idea what the image is and
yes,
iterate the prompts. Is that
ab-
correct?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so that's pretty much what you're doing right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then on the business part, how do you compare with the Meta's own generative AI? I understand it's not iterative and it has to be user driven as
Hmm.
opposed to in your case it's more copilot driven.
Hmm.
But besides that, have you compared how different ad agencies that you're dealing with? What if they use Meta's generative AI as opposed to your generative AI?
Yeah. So essentially speaking, our particular this particular product that I'm talking about, it's even you can even use it for cataloging, right? It's a product photography tool.
Right.
So
So cataloging, I think Shopify is also doing a lot. As you said, Photoroom is doing a lot on that and so on. So yeah.
yes, I mean it's pretty much Photo Room's playbook that I'm actually using right now, right? I
Hmm.
mean I'm trying to, because Photo Room has been there for quite some time, and they've
Yeah.
taken their time to develop, and over the last couple of years they got into Y Combinator, very successful right now. So it's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bit
they're pretty successful.
Photo Room's playbook when it comes to business that I'm actually trying to follow. So
But
I
Photoroom had a very different distribution strategy, right? Photoroom is consumer based, right? Anybody can use it.
Yes, anybody can use it, and that is pretty much the approach that I'm taking with AdGPT, right? Even though I'm doing a B2B side of things, that is essentially to bring in the
Hmm.
revenue, and like help me develop the product into a more model it into more of a B2C kind of a product, right? So B2C is not very easy. So B2B, whatever I'm doing is currently just to bring in the revenue, and like get some sort of a validation that yes, this thing works.
Right. All right. Okay. All the best with what you're doing. And I also did like a ad tech startup. We had Disney and so on customers. We got acquired by like a French conglomerate. So happy to help you out in figuring how to deal with Indian agencies because it's a very different game than dealing regular B2B sales.
Happy to interact with you further, Harshit. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for letting me know that as well. So I mean, please do drop because I mean, I'll try to find you, but yeah, I mean, in the group, if you're able to like find me, I'll just drop a message, post the and
Yeah,
post.
we'll connect. We'll connect.
Yeah, we can get connected. Are there any further questions?
Hi Srinath, this is Naveen here from ZXA.
Hi,
I
Naveen.
have a question for you. Yeah. See, if two companies like like they have a HR products, right? So if the both companies are using your tool and they're generating the images, so how effective is those images for running the ads?
So both of those images, irrespective of they are very close competitors because generative AI, the thing is that you hardly, not hardly, you never get two images that that are similar looking, right? So forget images, even text-based approach. If you take a look at ChatGPT never gives you the same answer twice. So that is the benefit with generative AI. But at the same time, if you look at the effectiveness of the advertisement, both will give you certain level of improvement in terms of your cost per click as compared to regular advertisement, which you might get it done through entirely through a designer. To what extent is basically it's more of a luck factor rather than a control factor. We're trying to bring in more control into that percentage of CPC fall, but so far we have not been able to crack that.
Okay. So can we compete with our competition, like whoever using your tool and like we using your tool?
I'm sorry, I did not understand the question clearly.
Can we compete with the competition, like to stay ahead by using your images and all, like by running the ads?
Yes,
Can we
absolutely.
be ahead of them?
Yes, absolutely. Because the thing is that, as far as the digital marketing game goes, what you can, from my experiments, like recently when Diwali happened itself, we tried generating a regular poster which was done by a designer. We put that up on LinkedIn for a hospital, as a matter of fact. So a Diwali wishes was put in, and that saw an impression of close to 129, if I remember the number right. So it was 129 impressions which was seen. And when we created something through AdGPT's mechanism, what we saw was that the same Diwali post got 10 times more, got close to 1,000, impressions. So yes, you will get better impressions through the use of AdGPT. So yes, it's coming soon on your mobile applications, including iOS and Android. So please do stay tuned. And if you have a product per se, you can start using it right away.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Are there any more questions, or Anuj?
Yeah, I'm just waiting in case there are any more questions from
Okay.
anybody.
Not a question, per se. Anyway, good going for you guys. But, definitely, I have been in a veteran in the ad industry for almost 30 years now. So, if you need any help inside, I'm most on the creative side. What you are using from the media side, which is
Hmm.
the, let's say, the group M of the world.
Yeah.
So, I can connect with you if you want to check with user groups and other things, do some research and other things. Do reach out. Yeah. Feel free
Fantastic.
to.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I'll definitely keep you in mind.
Sure. Thanks. Bye bye.
Any other questions or inputs for Srinath?
I think
Okay,
largely done. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think we are done here. Uh, let's take a minute and thank Srinath. Uh, Thanks, Srinath, for the wonderful talk and giving all the insights. Right, and I wish you all the very very best. I hope
Thank you.
you and your product will go on to do very well. And I'm sure there are a lot of people here that you can connect with and take this forward.
Thanks, Anuj. And thank
Thank
you,
you so
everybody,
much.
to me.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the last talk for this particular year. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And I'm sure we will do a lot more in the coming year from a community point of view. Thank you so much for all the help and all the support you people have been giving. Thank you.
thanks. Good night. Good night, everyone.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you.